I don't stand side by side with nobody till I bleed with them first.
What did we just see? You probably think this world is a dream come true.
When I step into this ring, yeah, bro, I am addicted.
Don't sleep on Luca!
Maybe tomorrow we'll all wear 42.
If you fight for your dreams will fight for you.
I really wanted to wait until the year-end review to really talk about this song, but just the more I listen to it over and over, I just feel this sort of great passion to talk about it. Porter Robinson is an American artist who specializes in the electronic and pop scene. The focus of today comes from his most recent release, Smile. Is There Really No Happiness is the penultimate song on the record and really dives into the topic of nostalgia. One of the very first things I want to get into is Porter's ability to convey emotions through so many different mediums on this song. From the lyrics to the sound, his own voice, he's just able to masterfully accomplish his goal of getting this emotion of nostalgia across to you. I want to start off with the lyrics and the overall meaning of the song. As I said, it's mainly about nostalgia. But what about nostalgia? Is There Really No Happiness dives into the phenomenon of nostalgia. What is it about nostalgia that blinds us? Is nostalgia a good thing? Does nostalgia cause a false sense of happiness? And the most important one, is nostalgia causing us to think happiness is only temporary? Porter starts the song off reminiscing on the beginning of his life. He talks about remembering the family PC, which when you look at his age, you immediately think to those very, very large PCs with their TV box-like monitors. And as he continues on, he talks about having blood on his teeth, perhaps due to a loose tooth, so thus, we can infer, probably remembering when back he was a young boy, losing his baby teeth perhaps. And he talks about growing blind to the butterflies around him. One way to look at it is perhaps Porter is perhaps not aware of his surroundings as a child. However, the sort of breakdown that I saw that I really enjoyed comes from an annotation on Genius where they say, this may be referring to the butterfly effect, the idea that seemingly insignificant events can result in large changes over time. As Porter reminisces on his childhood, he laments the things he can't remember or maybe never even paid attention to that may have altered the course of his life and shaped him into who he is today. To me, I think that's one of the most damning things about looking back on one's life. All the choices we have made, and yet it seems like we were blissfully unaware of it all. And as we look back, all you can really do is ponder the other outcomes from the different choices and just wonder what life would have looked like if one singular thing had gone different. At the end of the verse, Porter touches on the phenomenon of nostalgia, as I said, when he says, I know I'm not alone in wondering the vertigo of trying to get close to who I was before remembering. Again, nostalgia is almost a universal feeling. Everybody likes to think back on the good old days. To me, this almost comes off as Porter trying to cope with his feelings. Not wanting to think it is necessarily a bad thing, he kind of plays it off as something that everybody feels, which it is, but I think the reason he words it like this is because the emotions he's feeling towards nostalgia are the good ones that are typically felt. As in the chorus we hear Porter say, and I want it to be wrong when it's over and done. Is there really no happiness without this feeling? Give me a drug, bottle your love. Is there really no happiness without you near me? What Porter is feeling here is almost the ugly truth about nostalgia. He wonders if there's really no happiness without the feeling of nostalgia. You look back on the memories with such great feelings, but it leaves you empty in the now, as all you can do is just wish to go back to those days. It makes you feel like those moments aren't happening now, and that perhaps the best days are behind us. It makes us feel like we didn't truly live in the moment and appreciate what was happening when it was happening. And thus, Porter refers to it as a drug, because it's addicting to reminisce on the good times, to look through the memories, the photos, online posts, whatever brings back memories, and just think back. And in that final line, Porter changes it to "without you near me." To me, this is almost like nostalgia living in the back of your mind, to where you may be trying to force things, trying to force the memories to happen so that you have something to look back on later, rather than just letting those things form naturally. Or perhaps trying to recreate memories just to try and feel the same emotions as the first time. And he even builds on this in the drug comparison with the line, "You think I'm chasing the dragon," sort of showing that he's chasing that high that he gets from the memories. He wants to feel that same happiness that he did before. And the hardest part of this phenomenon is that nobody really knows what to do when it comes to nostalgia. No one can decide, is it a good thing, is it a bad thing? How do you stop yourself from feeling so nostalgic for things in the past? Porter even states, "You've been watching me weep, saying some things are better left remembered. How's that help me?" What exactly are we meant to do in these moments? It may sound simple to some to just kind of say, leave the memories in the past. But I think people kind of fail to see the implications of their words when they say something like that. Memories aren't necessarily the issue here. There's nothing wrong with looking back on the good times. There's nothing wrong with remembering those times. The issue, of course, is nostalgia. The feeling that just blinds us. The feeling that makes us sort of have a not so positive outlook on the future, in a sense, you know? How does one stop that feeling from manifesting? That's why Porter kind of frustratingly says, "How's that help me?" It's like the equivalent of telling a sad person to not be sad. You don't think people have tried? This isn't some emotion that's so easily controlled. Nostalgia is something that can so easily pop up, from hearing a song that you haven't heard in a while to perhaps a particular smell in the wind, eating a food that you haven't eaten in years. It can bring back so many memories. And on that topic of things that can cause nostalgia, Porter sort of feels guilty because he feels he's only adding to this phenomenon. As a musician, they're probably the number one contributors to nostalgia. Music defines generations, years, and the overall time of life. By creating music, he's creating a soundtrack for so many people, songs that they will associate with memories, songs that they'll remember the times that they were hearing it, the memories that they created along with it, and they will always remember those times when they hear that music. And he feels guilty for it, especially as he says that many of them are relating to his own experiences, which is why they draw so close to his music, why they connect with it so closely. The song then closes with the chorus, and on the outro, we hear Porter say, "You know, Porter, some people die of nostalgia, so you better look out." Just kidding. Good one. It is genuinely good advice before essentially being played off as a joke. Some people die of nostalgia, and by this, I don't think we're talking about, a literal death, but if you're so focused on nostalgia, are you creating new memories? If you are missing the literal current moments happening in life, what is there? By that I mean, it's almost like as if there's a memory gap. Like, okay, those are the good times, but what happened after? For example, if someone only looks back on the memories of high school and mentions nothing after, just always talking about their memories of high school, it's almost as if that person's life ended once high school ended, because there isn't any mention of anything after. All the focus is on one point in time. It just, that's why I said it's kind of genuinely good advice to say you got to be careful, because some people die of nostalgia. Some people aren't able to move on. But as I mentioned, the lyrics aren't the only thing that contribute to this song. Another part that plays a big role in the success is the overall sound. You look at the way the song starts off, and to me at least, it almost sounds like one of those baby crib mobiles, or mobiles that just kind of plays heavily into that nostalgia factor, because it brings you back to one of your earliest times being a baby, you know, like that's just what the way the beginning sounds to me. And I don't believe I mentioned it when we were talking about the lyrics, but Porter even mentions about thinking back to a time that he doesn't even really have memories of, which adds further to the confusion with nostalgia, where he's confused about how is he so nostalgic for a time that he doesn't even remember or have many memories of. And you know, who can really say they remember a lot of their childhood? But you know, getting back to that, you know, overall point that I'm making with the sound, the overall sound, very soft, very calming, and the build up to the chorus is masterful work from Porter. Given his electronic background, Porter knows extremely well how to do this. Obviously, it isn't like some crazy loud drop that you would expect from the electronic scene, but it's more so this sudden shift from the very simple kind of verses to the chorus. And to me, the best way I can describe it is quite literally almost like being launched back in time, like as if you're just watching all the memories flood in and pass you by as you remember everything. The change in his voice especially adds to it, I believe. There's a lot of sadness behind the voice of his, and you know, one can even look at him using a higher pitched voice as a way to mimic a younger self, you know. And another, I would probably say, underrated part of this song that works really well is the ending. As Porter speaks to us, like I said, the music still plays, and as the song comes to a close, there's no transition to the next song or a slow fade out. Instead, we are just met with a sudden end, almost like we are thrust back into reality without any warning. Kind of like nostalgia does to us when we just stop reminiscing and come back to the current day. And if you're like me, you go back to start the song over just to get that same feeling once again. To me, one of the best bits of production on the song. But I would say the hardest thing to really put into words with this whole entire song is just the emotions, whether it's that soft piano, the little techno voices in the background, Porter's voice, all these kind of things, just they do one thing perfectly, and that is conveying an unexplainable sadness, an almost bittersweet sadness. Like I said, it's very difficult to describe, but Porter is just able to put nostalgia into a sound. To me, this is a song you really need to listen to with good headphones. All the drum parts, the tiny techno bits, Porter's vocal strains at sometimes, all of it is just kind of better heard and amplified by headphones rather than just listening from speakers. I'd go as far as to recommend listening to the instrumental on its own to notice all those little details. Plus, with headphones, the song just kind of envelops itself around you better, really dragging you into the world of nostalgia. I think the most difficult thing about nostalgia is just how prevalent it is in so many aspects of the world. From sports to music to time periods, we reminisce on supposedly better times. And like Porter showed, that can be an issue. One of my favorite videos on YouTube is Nathan Zed's The Power of Nostalgic Music, because in it he talks about something similar as far as, you know, pertaining to just the overall the overall world of music, where he just kind of talks about, you know, music defining generations and people looking back with such fond memories. But the issue is it kind of causes people to write off the music of the current times. People are so quick to call an album terrible after only one listen. They're quick to say that an album isn't memorable despite not giving it time for memories to form in association to the music. And then the most insufferable part, years later, they look back on it fondly, trashing the music currently releasing and just repeating that cycle of never appreciating stuff in the moment and only appreciating it years down the line once you know, time has come to pass. And it's not just music. I've seen the same thing happen in sports. A good example I can tell you that I most recently saw comes with Manny Machado. Manny Machado was a player that was often regarded as a dirty player and overrated player in his younger years, and you know, when he was first starting up. And now in recent years, it's almost like a complete 180 with the guy, where I've seen so many people look back on his early days and talk so fondly of him now, about his amazing defensive plays and conversations going as far as debating, whether he'll make the Hall of Fame with the case he's building for himself. Hated in the moment, but yet getting his flowers as his career starts to enter that latter half. But overall, I think the most dangerous part of nostalgia is the fact that at this point, it doesn't even require a certain amount of years to pass. People will start to feel nostalgic for things that happened not even 2 or 3 years ago. You guys have heard me many times, especially in music, and when we're discussing music, I talk so fondly about the year of 2022. I would go as far as to say I probably was nostalgic for 2022 the moment it ended. And, it goes further than just music and sports. You got video games that are getting remastered that aren't even a decade old. You have movies and shows getting rehashed, getting, sequels or follow-ups, and, just kind of rehashing of old ideas rather than new ideas just because they know it'll make a quick buck. Going back to the sports world, every team is releasing throwback jerseys or creating new jerseys, with elements of the past because they know people will be fueled by nostalgia to buy them. To me, it's almost symbolic of the lack of hope that we all have. To not see any hope for memories and good times in the future, that our sole source of happiness is nostalgia. Is There Really No Happiness is one of my favorite songs this year. It tackles the difficult feeling that is nostalgia, examining the uncontrollable nature of it and how it can negatively affect our outlook on life. But there's still one question left to ask. It's the question that's been staring us right in the face this whole time. It's the question I've been trying to figure out for a lot of my life. Is happiness temporary? Good times, at least the way we define them, don't last forever. And to some extent, is that not what makes them special? When we go through difficult times, the happy moments are there to lift us out. They are there to remind us why we endure through the hardships. Thanksgiving or Christmas with the family, going on beach trips with your friends, watching your favorite team win a championship, graduating from whatever portion of school you are in, attending the concert of your favorite artist. All moments we savor and look forward to each time. Events that have us counting down the days until they arrive. But what comes after? Sadness. Sad that the times are coming to an end once again. Having to wait for the next significant event to come and give you a reason to be excited, to look forward to something. Time continues to pass and all we are left with is just asking, why can't these moments just last forever? This is the dilemma I found myself in for quite some time. With every moment that ends, I sit there and ask myself, is this all there is? Do I have to sit here and be sad until the next moment of happiness comes? It seems more like waves of happiness rather than waves of loneliness or sadness. And again, that's the most difficult question posed by this song, and what contributes to that happy yet empty feeling that you kind of get from nostalgia. We're left to kind of confront our own lives and ask ourselves, is our happiness temporary? And of course, following that, what is it that we crave the most from our nostalgia? The innocence of our childhood, the growth and exploration of each new moment in life, wanting to remember a time that you don't really have memories of but yet want to feel so fondly about. This is the sort of confusion that nostalgia leaves. Do you continue, with this pattern of life, waiting for the new moments to reminisce about? Do you give up and wallow in the sadness that we will never permanently be happy? And truth be told, I don't know. I can't say I have an answer for that. As I said, I've struggled with this dilemma for so long. I reminisce on moments, and despite being so young, I ask myself, have I already peaked? Have my best moments in life already passed me by, And again, that kind of results in more sadness because you're just left to sit there and think to yourself, think about what is considered your peak, what is considered the peak of this life. And for me, it especially makes me sad because I kind of think back to what my mind and what nostalgia is trying to get me to think are my peak moments, and I kind of realized even if those were my peak moments, was I really there for them? Physically I was present, but due to my own personal battles, was I there mentally or emotionally to really properly take in and enjoy those moments that I look back on fondly now? And again, that's kind of an issue with nostalgia because it makes you think, did we savor those moments in the time that they were happening? You know, did we not appreciate them enough as it was happening? And you know, I guess that's why I just connect with this song so well, so much so that I jumped the gun and gave it its own video. It just makes me feel all these emotions described. It makes me want to say even more, but I don't feel like trauma dumping on the internet. And again, it just kind of makes us all confront issues that have been prevalent for years. It makes me still try and figure out what exactly is happiness to me. And lastly, where do we go from here?